What's going on, guys? Big Mikey 717 all back with you today. Back out in the garage working on the busa, getting a few steps closer to having the bike ready for race season. So pretty much what we had done here in the last couple days, I think in the last upload, I showed you guys that we had the turbo off. I just wanted to give the bike a good once over, make sure that I was checking the bearings and stuff on the turbo and the seals and everything like that. And also, our buddy Vince over at Venturo, Welding and Fabrication, who actually made my downpipe on the exhaust, which you guys remember this good old pipe. Vince actually shortened it probably about 4 or 5 inches so we can clear our new exhaust cover. Or not, yeah, exhaust cover. Clutch cover. The exhaust unfortunately ran right over top of the OEM one. So putting this new slider clutch on, I knew that it was going to conflict with it. So we went ahead and did that. Also, when ordered a weld-on bung from Motion Raceworks, Vince went ahead and tacked it onto, well, not tacked it, went ahead and welded it onto our new low pro pan, and now we have our turbo drain. So we got this stuff buttoned up. Do have a couple more things to finish up yet. I'm waiting on the gasket. I had to order a new Cometic oil pan gasket. Well, getting back into it, it's been a couple days since we were down here at the garage. I had to order a couple more parts, so I kind of ended the first section of the video, kind of ended it off on a bad note because I couldn't get done what I needed to get done. But anyway, what we had to finish was the turbo drain and get the oil pan completely finished up. So I have it bolted on, but it's not torqued. There's no gasket. It's just there so I could test fit for the turbo drain. So from Rob Bush Motorsports, we went ahead and picked up a Cometic oil pan gasket. So we have that now. And then from Summit Racing, I went ahead and got us a little bit of a variety, so hopefully we can get this done, is 2 fittings from Karns Performance to try to get our oil pan drain hooked up. So both of these are 45-degree fittings. So this is an AN, what is it? Female to male 8AN adapter. So I have that, so hopefully maybe I can take the OEM fitting, cut the line really short to where it still hooks up to the turbo, and then just thread it into this 45 fitting. If it doesn't, we have 2 barb fittings, and this one here I got the same size, is that we can just put a piece of line in between the 2 fittings and just kind of fill in the gap from there. It'll have a little bit more flexibility, but I figured order 2, that way I didn't order 1, test it, it didn't work, and then I have to return it and everything else. I spent the money, I have both fittings. We're just trying to get this job done because the last thing for the bike is just I have to do a quick little once over. Mostly just have to check spark plugs and want to see if they're okay. If they're decent, I might just clean them real quick and then order another fresh set. That way I have them in the trailer just in case I decide to change them later. But then the only other thing we have to do is put on the new wheels, which I didn't show you guys in the last video, or in the beginning of this, was our buddy Chris Canan at Canan Customs. We went ahead and ordered 3 new sprockets. So we have 45 tooth, 46 tooth, and as I dropped you guys, 47 tooth. So I'm gonna end up throwing the 45 on it to start. I do have a 16 tooth front sprocket for the busa, so we will have room to move if we want to change a little bit more, because I can always do a 1647, which should have roughly a similar ratio to an 1849. But then if we have to really go for it, I have a 50 tooth that's on the bike now, and that sprocket is not in bad shape. It's relatively new, so we should have anywhere from a 45, we have a 45, 46, 47, and a 50 tooth sprocket to swap onto these wheels. So let's go ahead and get into it, see if we can get this turbo drain and the oil pan hooked up and finished up. And then, what is it? We're gonna check the plugs, and hopefully the busa should be done in this video. I'm really hoping that I finish this tonight because it's been a while. All right, guys, well, that thing I was telling you about, so we're doing this 45 style fitting first. So I think this one here, oh man, that's gonna be real tight. If we put this fitting on, this is what's left of what was the turbo drain, and I don't think it's gonna work. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I don't think this is gonna work. I was hoping I'd get lucky, but this is a very snug fit. So I need to shorten this. So the end of the fitting is about right here. So this fitting is gonna be butt up against this barb that's up here. So I'm gonna go ahead and go right in here. And if this doesn't end up working, then we're gonna do double barb with just a piece of pipe in the middle. And figures that got a little wonky on me. All right, so I'm gonna take that off. Still ain't gonna work. Well, boys and girls, that is butt up against. So, looks like we're gonna have to go with plan B, which is what I was hoping I wouldn't have to do. So we have this fitting here, which actually might not be that bad because it is a little bit shorter of a span, I guess, because of where the fitting is coming out. This is just a really, really tight spot. Because the only other thing I can think of too is to pull all this apart and try to find something else. So we have this fitting here, which actually might not be that bad because it is a little bit shorter of a span, I guess, because of where the fitting is coming out. This is just a really, really tight spot. Because the only other thing I can think of too is to pull all this apart and try to find something else. I have it pretty close, but what I think I'm gonna end up doing here, because I still have a little bit of wiggle room with clamping, so it might not seat the whole way down here. I'm just gonna drop the pan, thread it into the pan, and then stick the pan back up. All right, guys, brand new Cometic gasket. I'm gonna go ahead here. All right, guys, well, everything's buttoned up. Went ahead and got our fitting in there. Was a little bit of a pain, but we got everything hooked up. We got our pan torqued down. And yeah, so we have all that done. Next thing we're gonna look at, I think I might end up looking at this, but I did pull one of the coils out. We're gonna go ahead and see how our plug looks. Now, I'm debating on pulling all of these. If the first one comes out and looks okay, I might just stick with it. If not, we'll see what happens. Actually, doesn't look too bad. I'm going to order a new set, but the plugs are brown. So usually that means that the air fuel. It's burning the fuel the way that it should. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this thing back in, and I think we're good on plugs. All right, guys. Well, you missed the fiasco. I just had to clean up a ton of tools. So unfortunately, I kind of forgot about this. Was whenever you switch over to a slider, there is where the push rod goes through the block over to the clutch from the left side of the bike to the right side of the bike. There's a hole. I forgot to put the plug from the pink bike in that hole. So I just dumped like 1.5 quarts of oil on here. Luckily, we only had the bike running for the little bit of fuel that was left in the system because my tank is off right now. So luckily the bike shut off, and we noticed, since it was on the opposite side from where I was standing, that it was dumping oil. But everything else was great. Everything else was fine. Nothing down here is leaking. I mean, I've been checking all the fittings. Everything has been okay. You can see some of the residual oil, but right in there is the plug. And I forgot to put that in there, so it just puked oil all down the side of the motor. It was a massive puddle. I just had to clean all my tools sitting over there. But we got her going. The bike is running. I should have had the camera on whenever that was happening, because the new exhaust, it sounds a little different. I mean, it's still, you can tell it's straight piped, but it sounds a little different. But overall, everything is done. We have oil in the bike. The oil pan's good. The turbo drain's hooked up. The exhaust is on. The header is on, which we did do new, I think I already did say this. We did do new manifold gaskets. They were smoking just a little bit, but it's mostly because they kind of have to break in. If I have to, I'll run the bike, let it get warm, and then I'll just retorque the head or the manifold back again. Because I put a lot of like elbow grease into making sure that that was snug, because like I said, I thought that I had a manifold leak because I haven't really tightened any of that since I installed the turbo the first time. So went ahead and redid that. Plugs, I'm going to go ahead. Luckily, Advance Auto right down the street from me has a handful of spark plugs in stock. So I'm going to grab those tomorrow morning or tomorrow when I come home from work. But other than that, guys, the busa's pretty much ready. I just got to get working on these wheels, getting them swapped off. It just kind of sucks because one bike's on one lift and one's on the other. So I got to figure out how to lift them up and get what I need to out of it. But she's pretty much ready to go, guys. I mean, I'm psyched. We got just a little bit more time yet until we'll actually be racing. So just stay tuned. I'll see you guys in the next upload. As always, guys, hit that like button. Don't forget to comment. Also, subscribe. Hit the notification bell for notifications on the newest videos that will come out. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And shoot me a message if you want to. There's a lot of local guys that find me every now and then. They see the Duramax rolling around town, hit me up. Yeah, just let me know what's going on, guys. And as always, ride safe, ride smart, always wear a helmet. See ya.